sir. All right, so now that we got that finished, we can move on to doing the tower assemblies. So I'm going to stop the film, get you a close up on some of this stuff over here. All right, so last thing we finished off was stabbing the cylinder head on bank 2, so that your next step is you're going to go ahead and install your secondary hydraulic tensioners on bank 1 and bank 2. And my suggestion is, unless you have a low mileage car, you know, honestly probably 40 to 50,000 miles or under, go ahead and get brand new units for that. And of course, if you're a rich guy, go ahead and get brand new units and don't play around. So over here on bank 2, I'm gonna turn on my light so we can really see what's going on. So everywhere that you can see one of those orange indicated dots, it's just kind of like a little line, like follow it around the perimeter. That's what you're going to need to clean up with acetone. You know, I typically start off with brake cleaner, and then I'll use acetone to finish it off to make sure you don't have any extra weeping anywhere. So that's the outside perimeter that has to be cleaned off, super sterile, before you install the tower system. Now, also too, you can see some of my old assembly lubricant from the machine shop, and I've got a little bit of you know, specks of nonsense in there. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off all those buckets before I install the camshaft in the tower system, because I'm going to re-lubricate it with a break-in lube over the top. So same thing over there. Okay, now let's go over to the tower system, passenger side. You can see what I had to, you know, basically wherever your RTV was, you know. And sometimes it's a good idea, if you're like kind of new to this, just leave a little bit of residual RTV sealant on there, so you know where it all came from. Okay, but you need to clean up that super sterile with brake cleaner, then acetone. Okay, and I'm gonna have to set up the camera. So the next thing I'm gonna be doing is the Jim Wolf Technology exhaust cams, and I'm gonna be explaining basically how you put those guys together and what you need to do, and how to situate them in the block, which seems to be, you know, something that a lot of guys are wanting to know. All right, so let me get the right socket for that. So we got our Jim Wolf Technology camshafts, and so these are the components. So you've got a small washer, head of the bolt, small washer, big washer, copper washer, and of course remember this is the exhaust cam sprocket. So that's what the long bolt kit, because the Jim Wolf Technology cam, the thread bores are a lot further in. So use those dudes. Now this is super important, seeing you guys missed this before. The back of the exhaust cam requires this plug, okay? So the trick that I do, we're going to be utilizing 271 high temp Loctite, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to do. So what I do is I'll just put on like some decent gloves. You know, I don't like to you know, get fingerprints on raw camshafts. And it's really hard to hold these camshafts. So what I've been doing is basically this guy here. What I've been doing is I'll actually just physically hold it. I'm going to set myself up here before I get too far ahead. And so Jim Wolf Technology requires 40 foot-pounds of torque to do to install this plugs, and of course, you guys know 40 foot-pounds of torque, you know, it's not too much. But what you can do is, you're going to bury this thing in Loctite. Oh, I got to cut the tip off. Wasn't what Daddy was trying to do. So I bury this thing in Loctite. And then I'll just physically hold the camshaft and tighten it by hand. Yeah, because these camshafts, they're cast, they're like spray welded regrinds, so it's my opinion, probably a bad idea to sit there and try and do anything other than this to it. Because the point where you'd be putting the crescent wrench is so far down there, and it's just like, that seems sketchy as shit to me, dude. So what I've been doing is just putting them in like this, kind of get in a position where I can really lock up on it. Okay. And of course, just put that dude back where we got it from. Alright, let's do the other side. Okay, just liberal amount of Loctite. We don't want this thing coming off. And of course, these camshafts, all camshafts are very, unless it's some billet cam, but I don't know why you don't want to throw it on the ground, but it doesn't take a lot of shock for you to break a camshaft, so be super mindful of that. Back in here. All right, so now let's we're gonna reposition this guy. Try and get close up on this. Okay. So I hear this a lot. A lot of guys always have this particular question. They want to know when they're installing the camshaft, what position does the camshaft need to be in before you drop the tower? Okay, so, you know, this is the position in their mind's eye that they would want it, but, you know, you'd have to have spring compression. So, the correct position, now mind you, you could hypothetically do it like this. I don't like that for some reason. I've just been, I let them relax and sit back like this. So, and then that's the position that I anchor it in. Okay, now this one can go vertical, just like it's supposed to. Alright, now we're going to liquid seal the tower system, and I'll get you a close-up video on that. Alright, we got all our liquid sealant on there. So you can see at the end where there's double dots, I want you to do it fat right there so that it doesn't leak out that channel. Okay, bank one. You see how I try to get that like out on the perimeter? You try to keep it away from the inside bore because you know, whenever you squeeze and compress this thing, you're going to have a little bit of excess probably squeezed through there. I just use my finger and I stick it down in the tower bore, and then I just wipe it really good, and then that kind of gives me an extra seal to make sure that I'm not going to weep inside my spark plug reservoir. All right, now I'm going to drop on the tower system.